Kaytlin, Katniss, Neil, glad to have you on the show. Fresh off your Bellator debut.
Yeah.
It was a little over a week ago, so how are you feeling? Like I know you're probably in a good place right now, right?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm super happy I got the win, but I so I had an injury going through the fight camp and I've had it for like over a year. So
Uh-huh.
I got PRP done on my knee. So I'm kind of
Oh.
just in a bump right now.
Oh. Oh
so,
my God.
so I'm not feeling too hot, but I still feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. So so talk about that procedure. Like what does it entail? What is it like for the fans? PRP? I'm not too familiar with
Yeah.
terms of PRP.
So PRP is it's kind of an alternative to surgery because I'm
Uh-huh.
kind of doing everything I can to avoid it.
Yeah, yeah.
But what they do is draw your blood and then spin it and inject the platelets back in the area, and it's
Okay.
supposed to help naturally heal itself.
Yeah.
And they also scraped a bunch of fat out of my butt and then injected it in the area as well.
So you're
It's
you're hurting in two different places then,
yeah,
basically.
it's a little intense.
Yeah, yeah. So that extra, I guess the fat that they put into your knee, is that just to cushion some of the maybe the joints or the ligaments, or what is it?
Yeah, that and it's also just supposed to help your body heal itself like
Okay.
naturally instead of
Okay. So throw some extra cells in there and some extra stuff in
yep.
there. Yeah, that's crazy. So how long is this? How long are you expected to be out of training, or what? How long is this gonna take you out?
It's gonna be a while. Hopefully, I'll be able to fight again within like 6 months. I know I won't be
Okay.
able to grapple for 4 months, and I'll be in a boot for just 2 weeks, and
Okay.
then I'll get back to like striking and training and stuff. But I just
Yeah.
won't be able to grapple for 4 months.
Okay. Is there some physical therapy associated with this injury, or
Yep, I'm gonna
yeah?
be striking out within the next week here. So
Oh man. Oh well. Sorry to hear that, but I mean, also congratulations on the victory.
thank you.
I know it was a big moment for you. It was a big time in your career. You're making your Bellator debut. You were fighting Brooke Mayo, who was probably get a lot of buzz, going into that fight, and you're the one to spoil the night for her. Um,
Yeah.
so when it kind of like talk about that fight and how you felt, maybe even when it came to the decision time, like were you? It was a close fight. So were you confident? How'd you feel?
Yeah, so I'll start from the very beginning. So how I got the fight was on Instagram. The Bellator did a little shout out for Brooke Mayo and was like,
Uh-huh.
"Happy birthday to Brooke Mayo. Who do you want to see her fight next?" So I commented and I said me, not thinking anything would come of it. And then she
Yeah.
calls me out on Instagram and goes, "Let's do it." And then 20 minutes later, Bellator contacts me and
Uh-huh.
we get the whole thing signed up and done. So
That's
I
great.
didn't
That's
think it
great.
would happen, but it did. And so
Yeah.
yeah, then leading up to the fight, I knew that they really liked Brooke from her last fight with Vita, and
Mm.
I knew they were kind of just bringing me in to lose, like just to build her a little
That's
bit.
what it seemed like a little bit, but it might. That's why I wanted to get you on the show because even before you guys fought, I was like, I like the way this is playing out because I felt like you were gonna spoil the party for her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, because I knew it was her hometown. It was the hometown judges. Like even when I walked in, the crowd cheered way louder for her, just because
Yeah.
they know her and she's fought for Bellator before, which I
Yeah.
wasn't too offended by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and so even after the fight, a guy from Bellator that worked there, we were driving back to the airport. He was like, "Oh," he's like, "Yeah, we thought Brooke Mayo was going to be a little much for you to handle, but good job, like you did it." And I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah. Yeah. And
But
what from what I hear too is that Brooke was aware of you where you guys are coming up through the amateurs. Like she's been in she I read an article where she was aware of you
oh,
and kind of was interested in the fact that your guys got matched up. I don't know if you were aware of that. Oh.
no, I hadn't heard of Brooke Mayo until she fought Vita, and
Hmm.
because I fought Vita as an amateur, so I've kind of been following Vita through her Bellator
Yeah.
fights and stuff. And I was like, even when I was watching Vita fight her, I was like, I guarantee I'm gonna fight that girl one day, Brooke.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would come this soon, but
Yeah. That's
it
crazy.
did.
I never hear of a fight getting matched up on Instagram. That's a new one right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got extremely lucky being able to get that uh,
Yeah.
exposure through Instagram.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
yeah, I think you asked about how I was feeling right before the decision.
Uh-huh.
I thought so. I I thought I won the whole fight. Like I felt confident with it because I held her down on the ground and
Yeah.
stuff. I knew she's looked a little more aggressive than I did, but my punches were landing and kind
Hmm.
of hers weren't landing as cleanly.
Yeah.
But I know she was beating me on the cage, but then when we got to the ground, I felt in complete control. Even though she
Yeah.
was putting submissions on, I never felt in danger, or that she was like actually like extending the armbar or extending
Yeah.
it in submissions. I never felt threatened. So I felt like I was in control the whole time when we were on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then even standing up, I felt like I had a little bit better landing on her.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was landing more punches. But so once I heard that it was unanimous decision, like you can see my face light up when they say unanimous, because
Yeah.
I realized that I won, because I was like, there's no way that they like gave it to her, because I thought I could have lost maybe in a split decision.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah,
so
yeah, because anytime you guys got into like a scramble, you always ended up on top, basically. You always ended up in a more of a dominant position in the
yeah,
fight.
and my coaches were
Yeah.
actually worried about that, because of course, well, my knee pops out during grappling the most, and so they were worried that my knee was going to pop out in the fight.
Uh-huh.
And they knew she was a purple belt, and she posts a ton about doing all these jiu-jitsu tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
So they're kind of worried about me going to the ground with her. But
Mm-hmm.
once we got to the ground, I realized that I felt a little bit more strong than her. And
Uh-huh.
I don't want to, she's strong. She's like a really good girl. But
Yeah.
I just felt like I could outpower her a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. And so I didn't feel uncomfortable on the ground at all,
Yeah.
which my coach were worried about that
Yeah,
she might outgrapple me.
So in the fight, you looked very calm. You looked very composed throughout the entire fight. Was that, was that kind of like the same thing, feeling going into the fight? Were you nervous at all? No?
Oh no, I was kind of like a hot mess, I would say. Because I knew like I hadn't won as a professional yet, and I knew they were bringing me in to lose. I know they liked Brooke, so I was like, they're kind of just like, I have nothing going for me right now. I'm like, I'm just gonna give it all I got, whatever. Yeah. I was not calm leading up to the fight. I was definitely a little nervous and scared, but I kind of figured I had nothing to lose, so just go for it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and talk about your first win as a professional. Now you had two previous professional fights. You were on a kind of a 2-fight losing streak, and previously to that you were unbeaten in the amateurs. I mean, talk about that time period of those two fights. Was that like a growing period? Was there, what was going on during those two fights? And before this fight, was it kind of a reflection period for you going into this fight, like gathering things and going into this one?
So for those two professional fights, I fought just like really tough girls.
Mm-hmm.
And leading up to it, my knee was popping out like a ton, and so I couldn't do any grappling whatsoever, and I couldn't do any kicking. Yeah. So basically, I was just boxing and then going into these fights hoping that I would beat them and like my knee would stay in. And so then after those two fights, that's when I went through like rehab and hoped my knee would stay in for this third fight, and then it ended up popping out again during the fight camp. Yeah. And so I got PRP done after it. But yeah, so leading up to those two fights, I wasn't getting very good training in because I couldn't really even spar. I could just like box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just kind of like a crappy start to the professional world, because I felt like I was a way better fighter than what my record showed.
Yeah, and exactly. But I think you have a lengthy amateur record, so I think a lot of people, it's just like one of those things that happens, I guess, in a professional fighter's career. You have that one little blip, and then So I think I just didn't know if there was anything else going on in terms of outside distractions, or like did you work on anything in terms of improving yourself? Like, okay, I need to improve this, I need to improve that going into the future, I guess.
Yeah. So I actually got a mental health coach for this fight, and so that's helped a lot with how my attitude was going into the fight. Yeah. So that was a big key, and that's kind of why I felt so calm in there. I guess.
Yeah. Which I think a lot of fighters are doing now. You know what I mean? A lot of fighters use sports psychologists and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. For the fight, were you was this like a big motivation to get your first win on such a big stage? I mean, that was this like I'm sure a lot of people were asking you for tickets. A lot of people were asking you for like for pictures and so like this was a lot of attention for you. Your first professional fight on Bellator, how was it for you?
Yeah, it was kind of nuts. Like I knew going into it, like I was kind of so this is really lame of me, but I was asking for like a little bit easier fights on the local level just so I could kind of build my record and my confidence a little bit. And then so I was kind of looking for a kind of like a easier opponent for after my first two losses. Yeah. And then Bellator contacted me and was like, "Hey, Brooke Mayo," and I was like, that's not the matchup I wanted, but but the risk was way worth the reward to me, so I
Yeah.
took it anyways, and it was crazy getting my first win on that Bellator stage.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you're athletically, you come from more of an unconventional like place than most professional fighters. You're a former cheerleader,
Yeah.
dancer, you're a personal trainer, and you come from a more unconventional place than most fighters. Like, do you what would you say to say your let's say your younger self, I guess, because you're only like 25 anyway, but what would you tell that person and tell them, hey, in a few years you're going to be fighting professionally? What would they say to you?
There's no way I would tell myself even like maybe 8 years ago that I'd be fighting and I would have believed myself.
Yeah,
Because growing up, I hated fighting. I thought it was so stupid. I didn't understand why anybody would want to do it. I'm like,
yeah,
there's no point in that. I'm like, that's so dumb.
yeah.
And then even I had a boyfriend in high school or junior high, I think, who got in a fight with one of his friends, and
Uh-huh.
and I just started bawling, and I left, and I was like, now I'm doing that professionally, like laughing.
Yeah, so talk about your how you got into the sport. It was basically you just went to your a professional fight, right? And you kind of got hooked in that way, and at least interested.
Yeah, I just went to some local MMA fights my first year of college. I
Yeah,
thought yeah, going into it, I thought it was so stupid. I was like, this is so dumb. Why would anybody want to do this?
yeah,
There was one girl fight on the card, and ever since then, I was like, I'm training. I'm doing that.
yeah.
And yep.
Now, were you aware of anything about UFC, MMA, like any Ronda Rousey? Were you familiar with any of these people before going into the sport?
I literally had no clue about anything. I had no clue what a jab was. I had no clue
Uh-huh.
or what a cross was, what a hook was. Like
Yeah,
nothing. Like I was a clean slate when I first came in, and yeah, so I had to learn everything in a
yeah.
short period of time. Even now, people ask me about fighters that happened before my time, and I was like, I don't know who they are. Like, what? You don't know who that person is? And I was like,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm trying to learn it all, but I
Yeah.
can't.
And talk about you in terms of training and learning about the sport. What aspect of the sport have you gravitated the most? You like the striking aspect, the wrestling, jiu-jitsu. What's your favorite? Everybody, I think everybody has a favorite.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I really like jujitsu, but my I just always pop out or like I always get injured doing it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I love jujitsu and then I also love striking. I'm a little rocky at wrestling. Like that's a little part where I lack in and I
Uh,
don't really push myself during wrestling. But I love jujitsu and I love stand up. So I don't know if I can pick between those two.
now, as a personal trainer, you have that as like a your side career. You do a lot in the professional training world, fitness world. Talk about that. Like, what are you doing in that sense? Because I see a lot of you post a lot of videos. You do a lot of nutritional tips. And talk about that aspect of you know, I guess your side career, your life. Yeah.
Yeah, so when I first started fighting, I was a nanny and I was going to college, and then a supplement company kind of found me that was local in my area,
Hmm.
and they brought me in to do some modeling, and then they brought me in to film some workout videos, and then they're like, "Hey, do you just want to work for us?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And so then they brought me in as a personal trainer, and so now I've developed a workout program that has MMA moves in it,
Awesome.
and
And
yeah, so I do that
where can
full
people
time.
find that? Or
They can find it at idealfit.com, and
uh,
then it'll be under Knockout Fitness
oh, cool.
underneath the challenges, or you can just go to Knockout Fitness Challenge on Instagram,
Yeah.
and you can find the little thing there. And that's a newer Instagram page, or you can just find me on Instagram, and I'll
Nice.
have a link there in my bio.
Do you feel like that, no, having that background, do you think that gives you more an advantage than other fighters? Because a lot of fighters struggle with nutrition, struggle with fitness, when they're not fighting. And I'm
Oh
sure you're a
yeah,
person that stays fit all the time, so I'm sure that gives you an advantage.
yeah. With my job, I definitely have to keep a certain like image going where I'm working out all the time, that's no problem for me. I worked out anyways, but before I was a personal trainer, before I even fought, I loved working out,
Yeah,
and so I always have to keep kind of like a toned body image, so my weight doesn't go up extremely high between fights. How a bunch of fighters have to cut weight
yeah.
and cut a bunch of weight, and then also it's really easy for me to diet because I
Hmm.
know a lot about
Yeah,
dieting and movements and that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
it's pretty easy for
I'm
me.
sure you could save money on like a nutritionist because you yourself is one. Yeah,
I've never had a coach help me with like a
a weight
weight
cut.
cut
Yeah.
or yeah. dieting or diet plans,
How
which
much
is nice.
how much do you cut before the weigh-ins, or what's your walk around weight normally, and then how much do you normally cut?
So this is my first time ever making 125.
Hmm.
I normally fought at 135, and I did even one fight at 150.
Yeah.
And I had to gain weight for the 150-pound fight. I just did. I probably won't fight up there again. But for 135, I'd walk around about like between 140 and 145, and then for now that I'm fighting at 125, I walk around between or around like 135.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So then
cool.
I normally just diet down to like 131,
Uh-huh.
130 pounds, and then cut like 5 pounds of water the night
Oh,
before or the day or the morning of.
yeah, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So in terms of Bellator, was this a one-off fight? How many did they sign you? Are they looking to bring you back? Was there any talks after that? After
Yeah,
the
so
fight?
that's how I kind of knew that they were bringing me in to lose too, because it was just
Yeah,
a one
this is the
contract,
one time.
and I was like, I have to prove myself to them. I know they're gonna want me. They're gonna love me.
Uh-huh.
um, so yeah, the guy contacted my manager right when the fight ended
Uh-huh.
and texted him and said, yeah, she's in the mix now with the 125-pound girls.
Hmm.
So that's all I've heard so far. I haven't
Yeah.
signed any contracts. I'm just working on
So that's it,
healing
like that's
myself.
all in negotiation basically right now. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll sign me. Hopefully they want me back.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Now, is there anybody have you seen anybody else in the division that you know of that you would be interested in fighting?
um,
Anybody you want
I'm
to call out right now?
there's no one I want to call out
uh,
necessarily, but I do kind of want to fight. I think her name's Ellen Bruno or something.
okay. Okay.
She just barely fought Vita, and she
Yeah.
has like a hype
Yes.
train going
Yeah.
behind
I've
her.
seen her. Yeah. Okay.
But so yeah, I don't
So
know.
that's one. And it's also, I mean, you got to have a like a, wave your flag high because you have two victories, over two notable Bellator girls already, Vita and Brooke. So that's got to be something right there. For,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of keeps me going.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's been great talking to you. It's been great getting to know you. Hopefully, we get to see you soon. I mean, probably not
Yeah,
in the next 6 months, most likely, right? Yeah.
yeah, it'd be
Um,
great to.
is there any way you can let the fans know how to find you on social media? Maybe even shout out some of your sponsors. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. So my first social media page, probably my biggest one is facebook.com forward
Hmm.
slash Kaytlin Katniss Neal, and that's my athlete page.
Yeah.
And Instagram is at Kaytlin Katniss Neal, and that's Kaytlin. Nobody ever spells Kaytlin right. So, and then
Don't worry, I had like like I struggle too. Don't worry. Yeah, it is a little bit of a challenge right there.
yeah, and then I just want to thank Ideal Fit for always standing behind me,
Yeah.
even when because they've been sponsoring me ever since I was an amateur, and they always
Hmm.
believed in me. So I want to thank them for always being there for me, and they're
Yeah.
basically my second family. And then I also want to thank at Taiga 2 and my manager at Fight Path Consultant.
Awesome, awesome. Well, it's great getting talking to you. Hopefully, we get
Yeah,
to see you soon. Obviously, in 2018, but it's looking forward to it, and best of luck in your career. And
thank
we'll
you.
have you on the show again soon. So
Thanks for having me.
yeah, yeah. Take care. You have a great day.
Yeah, you too.